righty. Okay, let me see. All right. We're back with another episode. First, the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. Go check out a complete list of the sponsors there. I want to thank a few of them now. 6 Hour, Pulsar, Right On Optics, Rhino Metals, Secure It. Go out and buy Secure It. All the walls in here. Secure It Storage. Go check it out. Special shout out to 221B Tactical and Hollerhead. Love the bar behind us. Brought to you by 221B and Hollerhead, the official booze of the bar. Thank you to Dana White. Shout out to all the sponsors listed down below. Guys, go buy a Volquartsen. Go check out all the different brands. There's a complete list down below and get shared in the live chat. Please support the show by supporting the brands that support the show. Appreciate it. As you all know, I have a penchant to try to find strong females that I think can promote the idea of being more capable and training and being a part of this lovely ecosystem that we all live in, called the Las Vegas fight scene. I was kind enough to stumble upon a newer face in the community, and I want to get her story. We got the one and only Heather Hernandez.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you doing?
Very well.
Yeah, well, hey, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So you brought up earlier, we were talking about it. How the hell did you get here and get into this game, and what brought you to the fight game?
So, I actually, I grew up playing sports, basketball, softball, college, high school. But when I moved back home, I went to college in Oregon. I moved back home and I didn't have any sports to do. So I was like, let me check out boxing.
Oof.
Yeah. Turned out I was actually really good at it. So found a coach who introduced me to a bit higher level coach, started training, started fighting amateur boxing. Our goal was to see if we could qualify towards trials. This was probably around 2015. And I got invited to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado by one of their coaches. And you can only go out there for training if you qualify through nationals, or a coach has to see you, think you got something, and say, come train. So long story short, coach comes up to me, hey, I want you to come train here. Call me in 6 weeks, get your conditioning up. Let's do this. And I don't know if you remember the LFL, Women's Football League. So I started playing that around the same time. And my boxing coach was like, hey, you can't fucking play football. You just got a huge opportunity. What are you thinking? And, I'm like young, dumb, think I'm invincible. I'm like, coach, I'm an athlete. I can do anything.
I can do everything.
I can do anything. So first game of the season, blow my knee out, tear my ACL. And mind you, I'm supposed to go start training in Colorado. So it was like so heartbreaking. I was in denial. I didn't think it was snapped. I heard it, but once they sent me the MRI results, you would have thought they told me they were cutting my fucking leg off. I called my dad. I called my boyfriend. I called everyone.
Everyone.
Crying,
anyone that'll listen.
Crying. Because, I was going to go to Colorado. LFL had just started playing football games on TV. There's all these things that were about to start. And then I blow my knee out, not listening. So I do my knee surgery, and I get invited to an LA football training camp way too early. Doctor's like, no, you can't do cuts on that knee yet. So I go out to the training camp anyways, obviously, not really a great listener.
I'm invincible.
Into training camp, 1 day training camp, end of it, I re-injure my knee. So then I'm really out. Like I had to take a year and a half to just sit on my ass and rehab the knee properly. But in that time, I got really big on training other people. My coach was super legit, old school boxing.
I'm laughing because it all hits us at different times. Like recently I ruptured my Achilles. Ooh. And I was like, it's over. Like I'm never going to do a box jump again. I'm never going to do anything meaningful athletically. Luckily, I made it a little later. I had a pec tear and I've had some other tears, like major tears in my body that led to this point. But it all perspective, right? Like I was talking about this in the last show, like perspective is everything, right? Yeah. And it's like, was it a bad thing? Maybe not. It's like, we'll see. So you always have to grant yourself like the ability to have perspective and give yourself a little bit of room. But I think you seem like you're finding what you want to do now. So you end up washing up in Vegas and now you're teaching, striking and working with people and coaches, and you're getting to get to a different side of the business. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, I really enjoy it. Like I went to college in Oregon, but I'm from Vegas, born and raised out here, just left for school. And I actually went to school for criminal justice. I thought I wanted to be in that field. Went to school, learned I don't want to be in that field. So I always stuck with fitness, and honestly, like that knee injury pushed me into like giving this coaching and the whole fitness regime to other people, like your average everyday people who want to lose weight, who want to feel better, who have confidence issues, whatever it is. Like boxing for me is like one of those sports where you see what you're made of.
It's great cardio.
It's such good cardio, toning, explosive energy. Like you get to feel like an athlete when you're a boxer, whether you're your average soccer mom who sees me for boxing, or, you know, I have some professionals that I run their like conditioning camps.
Yeah.
So I think like every single person can really appeal to it.
It's funny how fighting is becoming so specialized in a sense that like, I mean, we've had like, you know, nutrition guys on, you have striking coaches, you have people that just help you with your weight cuts. It's become so specialized that now you have people that just help you break down film. I mean, it's literally at that point. Is that surprising to you that it took that long for that stuff to get in there? Especially the film. I've talked about this with Eric Nixick. The film thing's interesting, how it's come in, but it's evolving. It's
evolving. And I do think, you know, boxing is mostly known for being like an old school sport. I remember like having an old school coach, and like if you roll your eyes the wrong way, you're kicked out of the gym. You don't touch your phone at all.
I hate those guys.
But nowadays it's like, no, we should film this so we can break down later what the moves are like. So I do think like the whole filming and breaking it down and having a person for each area of the fight camp, because, you know, fighting's a sport. It's not like basketball. You know, I love basketball too, obviously, but
I suck at it, but I love it.
We got to get you on the court.
No,
but I'm telling you, you know, any sports, basketball, soccer, you know, if you lose, you just lose. But a fighting sport, if you lose, you might actually get the shit beat out of you. Like, you can't afford really to just maybe lose.
You can get the shit beat out of you in basketball too. I've had it happen to me.
Have you? Are you a shit talker on the court?
Yeah, it's all I got.
Really?
That's all I got, Heather. I don't have a killer jump shot, and I'm not exactly driving to the hole hard.
You got to use that mouth then.
Yeah, I have to talk shit to the hoop. That's it. I loved basketball as a kid, and I thought it was like the ultimate culmination of athletic ability in so many ways. Like if you could do it, like your body has to move so fluid. But I was so bad at it. I was so bad. I was like, I'm not good at this, and I have to accept it. So after my freshman year of high school of playing basketball, and I'm still close with my high school football coach to this day, like we were texting this morning, but like I literally was like, he was like, no, you need to put this down.
What an honest coach. Those are the best.
It was the best.
Sometimes you got to hear that.
Yeah, we didn't get along at all when I played football. Like, honestly, like we had like the most torturous run ever. Like, I think he threw me off the team 3 times. He would tell you this. But he was part of that old school, like no water breaks, no nothing. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, don't you want us to be the best? Because I was coming up in that era of like, you need to have your nutrition dialed in. You need to lift the weights. You need to do all this. And I did all that. Like no one worked harder in the off season than I did. I promise you that. But it was like when we got to the field, it was like this beat the shit out of you mentality. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't know what you mean.
That's that super old school shit.
Yeah, it was the way it was. But I was pre-Corey Stringer. So, you know, for me, it was prior to a lot of people started dropping and, you know, people started understanding the value of being hydrated. Like things
it's actually important. Go figure.
Actually important. Go figure. And I was like, I was someone I didn't need to be. I hated rah-rah guys.
Okay. Yeah.
I hate rah-rah.
There's a lot of that in the sports.
I know.
It's just a part of it.
So crazy. So as you kind of evolve as a coach, have you started developing like your coaching philosophy? How's that looking?
Honestly, I will say that I do have a very old school philosophy. I mean, I let my people get water and, you know, normal shit, but so many people are used to just stopping when it hurts a little or when they're a little tired or when they're a little uncomfortable. And I do think like that old school, you showed up, we're going to do this. And if you're not, then I can't have you on my team.
That's me now. I love a good quit.
Yeah, I bet.
I love a good quit. It's not right. I'm not the example. I'm horrible, but I love a good quit. Like, hey, let's go get lunch. Let's call this good. But I'm not the ideal candidate to coach. But you guys have a thankless task here in Vegas, sifting through the fight scene and being able to work with regular people. It's hard because there's a lot of star power here.
Yeah, a lot.
It's intriguing. It's toxic. It's almost toxic.
It's almost toxic, honestly. But that's kind of Vegas and the fight scene out here. You know, you have the biggest fighters, you have unknowns coming up. You have regular people who just want to like box and fight. I have gentlemen I train who are like, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they love sparring each other. You can see that high school boy shit come back out of them, and they're like, let's spar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can see like that, for less of a better term, like that man factor come out, and they just want to fucking spar another man. I don't know what it is, but you can tell. you know, especially when guys are like getting older and they're starting to lose that, like,
The
I'm
edge.
a tough guy, the edge, the mojo. You put them in the ring, they get a bloody nose and they're so fucking proud of themselves for the whole day. They love that shit.
Black eyes.
They're like, I earned this black eye.
Now, I was joking with a couple women fighters. You know what I find interesting about women fighters too, in particular, is they love posting their post-fight like beat up face, and it's like a source of empowerment. Like you see Rose do it, you see people do it, and they're like, yeah, I went in the ring and I got fucked up. Like the women almost like that more. Like you don't see a guy do that. You never see a guy like here. Like once in a blue moon you'll see it, but like I know like Dan, you know, has posted it. I know Cowboy in the past, but like women love that. Like it's like a badge of honor. Where does that come from? Like, hey, look at my black eye.
You know, I do. I can see the badge of honor part for sure. Because, you know, like being a woman that's willing to go in and maybe get hurt, you know, it's not
empowering.
common. It's empowering. You know, I'm getting in the ring. Like when I fought, I would spar mostly boys because there wasn't a ton of girls at my gym. So every now and then I'd get to spar another girl, but it was mostly guys. They'd be close to my weight. So, you know, small guys. But I'd spar them and I never got hurt in the ring, but I'd get hurt in sparring sometimes.
Now, I had this talk with Claudia and with Valentina. Now, give me your take on the like you have the community of fighters, male, female, and then you have these transition males wanting to get in the ring with females. What is your take on that? I know Claudia came out and was like, you know, very honest and upfront. And she said, you know, I worked hard for these records. I worked hard to be where I am. You know, I don't want to see that, even though I'm a supporter of that community. And I understand that take. And my take has been they should just have their own division if that's what it's going to be. It should just be its own division. You have male, female, and then you have transitions. Yeah. Whether it's you're a male becoming a female or a female becoming a male, whatever it is, have a transitional category. But how would you do it?
To be honest, like, first of all, people who know me know, like, I fully support that community. If that's how you want to live your life,
100%.
Go for it, live your life, be happy. But at the end of the day, girls' sports and guys' sports are separate. If you're fucking born with balls, you need to play with the boys. And if you were not born with balls, you play with the girls. Like, I think it pisses me off. I'll just say it. Like, I cannot stand to see a guy, essentially, especially in fighting sports, beating the shit out of some girl and calling it any type of fair. Lifting sports, anything where...
Lifting sports, it's highly contested.
It's so, like, it's amazing to me that everyone doesn't realize, hey, you're a guy, you should not be competing with girls. That's just it. Either compete with the boys or make your own, like you said, transgender, you guys have your own category. Yeah. But, you know, if I have a daughter and she grows up playing sports and she's working her ass off, she's training, she's beating these girls... And then all of a sudden fucking Joe Blow comes over and kicks her ass like...
Pat.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Pat. Whoever it is.
I think that there's absolutely no reason for males in women's sports. I don't care how you identify, what you're doing.
Well, from a coach perspective, it's a little dangerous. You know, it definitely is. Especially weight classes considered, it's dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous. And you're seeing it in a lot of, especially fighting sports. Like, they're just beating the shit out of these girls. And to be honest, like, as an athlete, I have so much pride in competing fair and busting my ass. And if I get beat, okay, it's fine. You were just like a better athlete. But to, like, if I was a male and I would beat the shit out of this girl, I wouldn't feel like a proud athlete.
Yeah, I never thought of that. But yeah, like, I would feel
like a fraud. Like, I couldn't beat these guys up, but I can beat these girls up. So, and now I have a title. Like, you didn't really earn that fucking title. Right. Otherwise, you would have done it with the guys. And again, I respect and support the community, but there's no place for men and women's sports.
There's respecting and supporting a community, then there's making sense.
Yes.
I think you have to make some sense. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear cut. Just, you know, hey, you want equal? Everyone gets their own division.
There we go. That's equal. That's
equality of outcome.
Well, you see a lot of them too, like, who were competing as males their whole life and were mediocre. And then they go over to women's and now they're killing it. I'm like, dude, are you really fucking proud of yourself? Your track record shows mediocrity. So you go into women's and now you're killing it. There's nothing to celebrate there. And I have friends who, you know, are transgender and, you know, if that's what you want to do it. But don't come and threaten women's sports.
You find too, Heather, that a lot of the transgenders don't want. They want their own division.
Yeah. That's what you're seeing a lot of. So I don't know where the disconnect is of why we're not giving them that.
Yeah.
Let them all compete with each other.
I think that's more recognition, having your own division. I think that's more acknowledgement.
Your own division.
Have your own division.
Versus fucking up everything that's already established. And now we've got all these people riled up, pissed off.
You need asterisks. You need, it just becomes a whole fucking chore.
It's a whole shit show now.
I agree.
I highly disagree with it.
Now, the fight game has flourished during COVID, and it's a testament to what Dane has done and the ability to keep that engine moving forward. And a lot of the other leagues too, PFL, they've all done a good job of just picking up, and now we see Bellator flaring back up, and I know one championship, but we're seeing more and more come into the limelight. Now, one of the things that's been interesting through COVID is everybody's trying to grab the headlines, right? So we see these celebrity type matches come in. What do you think of some of those? Interesting.
I think they are entertaining.
Some aren't.
Some aren't, yeah. I think they do what they're supposed to do. They sell a lot of pay-per-view. They get the fighters paid. I don't necessarily say I would respect it a lot in terms of boxing and just having two solid boxers fight versus these exhibition matches with celebrities. But I do think it's about entertainment and paychecks because, unless you're Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, unless you're one of these people, you're not getting paid much to box. And if you're a woman boxing, you're not getting paid shit. So then you see them going over into MMA, UFC, exhibition, YouTuber fights because you're going to make so much money because you fought that YouTuber because he's so well known. So I think in business, entertainment, and paychecks, it makes sense. I think in preserving the sport, it doesn't. Yeah,
there's always going to be what they call these celebrity matches. Muhammad Ali did them. There's always going to be these types of I don't like to call them circus matches, but there's always going to be this stuff. I think Jake Paul can fight.
He can actually fight.
I think he can actually fight. I think anybody who knows fighting or has watched fighting, he can fight. He can throw a punch. He can move. I mean, he's had millions of dollars of training. Do I think it's pretty clear now that we all see he's kind of gaming the system? Yes.
Yeah.
He has the luxury of doing that because he's not fighting under a federation.
Exactly.
So he has the luxury of saying I want to fight this guy or I want to fight that guy. And who knows what the back alley conversations are? We don't know. And we don't know what money's promised and what's given and what isn't. So whether or not he games or not is irrelevant. I do think he runs the risk of exhausting that avenue because I think some people are kind of do we really want to see Tyron Woodley part 3? You know what I mean?
And I don't think people do.
I don't think people do. And that's where I think it kind of starts to fall flat. I don't think it can turn into a place where fighters go to retire. What I do like that the UFC is doing is I do like that they're transitioning a lot of their older athletes to some of the grapple matches and stuff like that.
That is cool.
And I would like to see them almost take a place where they create almost a Legends League or something like that. I think that would be an interesting path.
That'd be pretty cool.
Whether it's boxing or just stuff like that. But imagine a roster of grapplers that's legends of the UFC against other legends.
I'd watch that
in a grapple match.
Oh hell yeah!
I think you'd put grappling through the roof. If you put that on a fight pass or something. But I think that those are easy things to do. It's just a matter of layering them onto what's already existing for content because that's pretty much what the UFC is, a content creator.
Yeah, that's where it's right now.
Yeah, and I think the pay thing, is an interesting topic that comes up a lot with Jake and with Dana. Obviously, there's a lot of angst there. But I think the pay thing is something that, you have to be careful what you wish for. If you get a union, you have to understand how that union's going to function and how it's going to play out. And you may end up in the same place.
Yeah.
And then the top fighters do what? What? Are they going to be willing to... Is Conor McGregor going to take a $10 million pay cut to go be, part of a union?
Highly doubt it.
Highly doubt it. It's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
I don't know that happens. What's your take on it?
I do think that, the fighters who are paid the most are not just the best fighters. They're the fighters who market, who have that personality that people either really want to see you win or they really want to see you get your ass kicked. Those are the people with the biggest paychecks because they're bringing in the most pay-per-view. And I do think, at the end of the day, it's all business. And UFC, boxing, they need viewers. They need people to come and support these fights and these matches. And I do think if you're someone in the sport, it's your responsibility to not just be a good athlete, but be someone that people want to watch. They want to see you get your ass kicked or they want to see you win. Most of the time, you're Conor McGregor, even Ronda Rousey was such a hot ticket for a while. You're Floyd Mayweather. So many people just want to see you lose that they will buy the fight. And
Well, Ronda was interesting. I mean, that segment of the women's game was so interesting, and Ronda gets a lot of credit for putting it on the map, and she did because she was the first female real superstar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had stars before, obviously Misha and Kat Zingano, who's a friend of mine, and some of these other folks that have come in that were, you know, really creating a nice title path. You know, it was competitive. You were kind of like, I'm into this, but Ronda was like a specialist. Now you see it opening up where the striking is equally important, the grappling is equally important, the dirty boxing, incorporating the Muay Thai, all the different elements, and it's all fighting is a management of distance. It doesn't matter if it's a gunfight or a boxing match. It's a management of distance, and teaching your people distance and how to properly, you know, maintain that is almost the most difficult task in any martial art. And I think that women have started to grow to understand that, and now we're starting to see the best of what those divisions can offer. I mean, I feel that. What do you think?
I agree, honestly. I think that she was like the first big superstar. She had, you know, she looked great, she fought great, she had a little bit of everything. But once she took, you know, once she started going downhill, she went downhill fast. And I do think, especially as a coach, distance is absolutely the hardest thing to teach. It's the hardest thing for someone to comprehend. Like, you want to hit them, but you don't want to be in a range where they can hit you back. You need to get in, you need to get out. It's like, by far, if I could say, this is the hardest thing to teach, and it takes forever. Even for me learning, it took a while to learn distance. Now I have it perfected, but I think in the fight sports, you know, you are a big hot ticket and you go against someone that you don't really understand what your distance is, which is what I kind of think happened with her. And you just got knocked the fuck out in 5 seconds because you didn't take distance seriously.
And you have to understand, some people genetics does play a component in it.
I agree.
And you look at the guys who are really good at it, like Mike Chiesa is one of my friends. I've had Michael in here, and you see him, he's a welter, he's a 170, but he's so long. And you're like, and you know, you look at you're long, you know, and people are able to get out there and extend. I'm built like a hydrant, so I have to be like 1 foot from somebody to stand a chance. But to understand distance and to understand how to manage that, you watch people like John Jones, you watch people who just, they never go to the ground. Because they don't have to. Valentina almost never has to, unless she wants to prove a point, like she did in some of her fights by beating people on the ground. Oh, they don't think I'll take them to the ground, I'll take them to the ground. You probably caught the Amanda fight. That was so shocking to have Julianna come in and beat her. Everybody thought Amanda was unbeatable. And I was in the front row. I was right next to Kayla Harrison. And I was like, holy shit. And I looked at Kayla, and we walked in the back, and we actually talked for a minute after, because she's going to do the show. But it's crazy to me to see someone come in and have their plan be that far off. And that maybe makes me think why she's blowing her camps up and everything else. But that's kind of crazy that she came in and just almost like she didn't have a plan. Did you catch that fight?
Nobody was expecting that fight to go down the way it did. And I do think you could kind of tell maybe like lack of plan, or kind of like, you know, famous quote, you have a plan till you take that first big hit. That's what it seemed like. Like, well, shit, what happened to the plan? No one was expecting that kind of an upset. So I think she was like so thrown off guard by that.
Yeah, I think leading up to that, she was one of the most intimidating fighters in the game. By far. And I think what Julianna did was really, really amazing. Being able to come in with a clear directive and understand what she wanted to do. And if you talk to her post-fight, it seems like she did everything that she had set out to do, which is a nice package to see play out on TV.
Yeah, to actually see that you can tell they have a plan, they're executing the plan. I didn't think she came across as like nervous, intimidated, anything. She was very set in her plan, and she executed it.
Yeah, she got up after that first round almost like, okay, like I got, you know what I'm saying? Like came out the second round, and it was like she saw what Amanda was doing and she adjusted. And that was so impressive to me. I was like, she thought this out. There's thought involved in this. Nice to see.
When you go against someone like that, you have to have a plan and think it out. And I think some people get so intimidated that the plan just goes out the window. But it seemed like she stuck to the plan no matter what happened, and she adjusted when she needed to.
Now, I found something interesting, and I haven't had a female in the fight game to talk about this a little bit, but it's interesting, some of the I don't want to say like hate or some of the noise that comes out of the news when they I don't know how to say it, like they broadcast the corners of the guys yelling at the girls. And it's weird to me that like society's like, oh my God, did you hear how he talked to that girl? Oh my God. Like, you're in a fucking fight.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so like when I was boxing, when I would like we'd compete, spar, all of that, my coach would tell me there's no guys and girls in here. There's boxers and that's it. So to think that like I'm going to treat you different because you're a girl, to think I'm not going to yell at you the way I yell at him, tell you to go fucking run laps, like, and when you're in a fight, it's war. I don't need you to be nice and coddle me. I need you to say, get the fuck up. And like, when people make those comments, I'm like, you don't understand the sport. You don't understand war. You don't understand coaching. Like, if that's the tone and aggression he needs to get her to get it, that's what it is.
I loved that women that spoke up that were like, no, that's what we want.
Thank you. Isn't it funny how the people who are actually in the situation are like, no, that's what we want. And it's all these outside people who have no idea how it works being like, you can't treat her like that.
Oh my God, she's a delicate flower. Tomorrow she's going to post a picture of her face all beat up and be like, I'm the baddest bitch in the land, you know?
Exactly.
And I love that. And I think everybody else does.
I think everybody does. That's why we're here. We're here to fight. We don't want to be treated any different. Don't talk to me in a different tone because I'm a girl. Like, tell me what I need to fucking hear and tell me in a way that I can understand the importance of it.
Or how about this to the writers that write that stuff or publish that stuff or talk about that stuff? Maybe boxing or fighting isn't for you.
Absolutely, 100%. Go write about baking cookies or some shit. Cause
something else. Find something else. Maybe this is, you know, I say it all the time. I'm like, there's people and then some people aren't your people. Maybe those people aren't your people.
I agree with that.
Some people just aren't your people and just move the fuck on with your life, right? Yeah. I mean, just let it go.
Try something else.
Try something else. Now, you're just getting rolling here.
Yes.
Are you excited about it? You seem energized about it.
I feel happy, energized, you know.
It's a new gym, right?
Yeah, it's a new gym. So we've actually been there since the end of last summer.
Just kind of going through a relaunch.
It was like a relaunch because the building was totally bare. Warehouse, we talked about that. Totally bare warehouse. Myself, so I manage a gym. My other owner is Jessica. She lives in Cali, but she's in Vegas here and there. But when we did a walkthrough, it was just an empty warehouse, bare walls, no turf, nothing on the ground.
That's what this was.
Yeah. So, you know, you kind of have to build it up. The place we were in before was just much smaller. It was about maybe a third of the size that we're in now. We kind of had to get out of there in a rush. There's a dispensary next door. They wanted our spot. Yeah. All that bullshit. So we came over here, but it took some time to really like get all the walls painted, get the new AC, get the heating, floor, turf, and you know, landlords and logistics. All that shit. It's taken some time, but we just did our grand opening a couple weeks ago.
Sick.
It is honestly, I'm going to say it's the best gym in Vegas, and I know there's a lot of gyms that are great, but if
you got to say it.
I got to give you a tour sometime. But it has both, you know, like most of the time you have a boxing gym that has a ring and some bags, but that's it. There's no weights, there's no equipment, there's not much cardio. Or you'll have a gym with mats, or you have a bodybuilding gym, but there's nowhere to go spar if you want to. And our gym, you know, the middle is all turf. So we've got, you know, our camps, football training, all of that. But one side of the gym is all combat. There's an octagon, there's a boxing ring, and there's a wrestling area. Heavy bags. And then the other gym is like a bodybuilding gym. But it's both assets in one house.
Now, Vegas is a weird place for this because I'm going to tell you why. You have one, and I'm sure you've already encountered this. You have one side of the spectrum that says you got to go to like your gym or maybe Couture or wherever, and you have to do, or Syndicate, go see Johnny Wood, but like go see any of those guys and specialize in MMA.
Yeah.
Then you have people that want to specialize in jiu-jitsu and go to 10th Planet like I do, and then go get their striking somewhere else.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different competing philosophy, and some people like to have have their fighters only in their solar system, and some don't. Where do you stand on that?
I do think, you know, I think it's good to go to different areas where you need different areas of coaching. So like if you really need work on striking, like as an MMA fighter, you should go to a legit boxing gym and work on your striking from a legit boxing coach. If you need work, you know, on your groundwork, you go over here. But I do think it would be nice to see more gyms in Vegas that have multiple things under one roof. Like you've got a great boxing coach here. You've got a great grappling coach. You've got someone who can give you weightlifting specific to your sport here. I think like getting multiple disciplines under one roof is going to be more ideal because like you said, there's so many different facets to this training, and like athletes are driving all over town to go see this coach for this and that coach for this and this coach for this. Could we get a huge gym that has all these disciplines in one roof?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic here. And I'm of the thinking that, like, if you're a young fighter, like, let's say You come out of college, maybe you get some wrestling. Let's start there. That's a majority of people that roll up on our shores here. But let's say that's what you have. I think it's good when you're young to specialize, meaning go to jiu-jitsu, go to boxing, and make those separate worlds until you reach maybe a blue belt, purple belt level, or what the equivalent would be in boxing. You know, you get like maybe 2 years in where you have a little bit of an understanding of how to throw a punch and how to throw a combination. And then I think you can make an educated decision and say, I have some really good grappling now. I can bring that over and start to translate that into MMA. I know my jiu-jitsu coaches will probably lose their mind and say, oh, no, you have to stay here and do this or do that. But I think in the beginning, it's important to stay a little separate to get that baseline. And then when you have the baseline, luckily what we're seeing in the influx of fighting now is a lot of people with a strong wrestling background. So they're coming in really as like blue belts, easing into purple belts, but they lack a lot of the striking. And they have to incorporate that. And that's starting to come in. But that seems to be the pedigree right now, or maybe they add in Muay Thai and they keep the wrestling and don't put in the finishes that jiu-jitsu offers, because I'm seeing the finishes not work as much in the UFC anymore. The word's starting to get out and you can't finish guys. I mean, go look at that Ortega fight. I mean, he could not finish him to save his life. And that's a high level black belt. A high level. Brian Ortega is a high level guy. And for him to not be able to put his opponent down has to send a message that you have to have a lot of striking and you have to win on striking many times. You have to. Especially at the high levels, because guys are going to get out of those chokes. Oh, they are going to be able to get out of them because it's a high level. That's what they train for. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I do agree with you. When it's the beginning of your fight journey, you should, you know, have your main discipline. And that's what you almost try to master before you start veering off into these other areas. But I do think, like, especially in the MMA world, that striking is something that, like, everyone needs more of. Everyone needs more, I think, boxing coaches in their fight camps to just perfect the striking. Because these guys are so good on the ground now. Like you said, a top tier black belt, like, he couldn't close the deal there because this guy is equally as amazing. It was, I counted, 3 or 4 almost finishes in that fight. And he got out. And he still got out because they're training for that. Yeah. And they're working on their breathing and their techniques. And unless you really can cinch it down, it's almost like don't go for it because you're going to blow out your arms or your legs. Yeah. I think it's going to become harder and harder to close those deals on the ground like that because everyone is training for that. I think the athletes who start focusing a little bit more on striking are going to start to take that edge. It's like the film's out. You know what I mean? It's like they say in football, like the film's out on him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you could see it. You could see the tendency. And that's why some guys don't succeed. You know, it's like the book is out on him. Yeah. And I do think, it's being used a lot more. Studying the film, watching their habits, seeing what they do, almost predicting what they're going to respond to when you do this move on them. And it's a double-edged sword. You're going to be able to see your opponent really well, but they can see you really well ahead of time. Yeah. The interesting thing is the interesting battle, especially around here, is the gi. Right? Like, do you train in a gi or not train in a gi? It's like the craziest thing. You guys don't have to deal with that in some ways because it's MMA, and it's like, no, you wear what you wear in MMA. Yeah. Do you ever encounter that, the gi versus the no gi? You know, here and there I do. My older brother's very into, you know, like the gi and all that, the tradition and bowing and, you know, I'm a samurai. Yeah, if that's what they like, it makes them feel well. I'm a little bit opposite of it. I'm like, let's just train, you know. Come on. Let's just train. I don't care what you show up in. You don't need to look the part to train the sport. You know, I do think maybe in some of these places that are a little bit more old school and it's all about the tradition and, you know. I can't get anybody to answer me while you bow when you go onto a mat. And I've been doing martial arts for a long time. Yeah. And I asked the question one day, I go, why the fuck do people bow before they go? Like, what is that a sign of? And I've heard so many different theories, but no one can ever explain it to me. I have no idea, honestly, what it means. I always thought it was like maybe a sign of respect before, like. Yeah, I've heard different things. Like you got to look them in the eye on the way down, and that means like you're gonna fight them, or if you don't look at them, it's disrespectful. I've heard all kinds of different like weird takes on that. But like, yeah, I've never understood that. And coming to Vegas, it's refreshing because you have a lot of different gyms that are just like, come, like you said, come on, let's train. Yeah. And when you go like to some of these rural areas, they're like, no, you have to bow. And like, I'll go and I'll train at another person's gym and they're like, you have to tie your belt this way. And it has to be. And I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'm like, can we just train? Like, yeah. I'm like, does any of that matter? I think to some people who are still holding on to this super like
this is how we do it type of thing. To them, it matters.
I feel like we got to walk through the gym with like the incense, like in church. Like,
Yeah.
It's like it's a gym, isn't it?
You're like, I came here to train.
But I came up like going to like hardcore gyms like Metroflex and training in places that were like dungeons. So it was like, you know, it was like if you didn't, like if it wasn't ugly, it wasn't cool. Like it had to be ugly.
Honestly, when I was like training in boxing, I fought out of Johnny Tacos. I don't know if you know where that's at. It's like old school gym, run down. And yeah, in that community, like the more old school and run down the gym is, the more legit it is. If it's too nice and new, there's no credibility there. Yeah. Which things are changing now, but it's like Rocky type style shit.
Well, it's so funny you say that because it's true. Like the best gyms of all time to ever train in, especially weightlifting, are like, you know, Venice, Metroflex, you know, the temple in England, you know, where Dorian came out of. And it's the same in boxing. Like you go into Couture, it's like, it looks like somebody threw a fucking grenade in there. There's this shit everywhere. Equipment's breaking. It's,
You're like, this is legit.
Like, this is for real. Like we're playing for keeps in here. Like that's what it feels like.
I think it lets you know that people are there for business. We're here to train.
I've heard that's why some people don't train in the PI. Like you get some big names that are over at different gyms and people don't like to go to the PI because it's too sterile. That was always the thing.
It's too well put together. It doesn't feel like I can get dirty and rowdy here.
It feels like a photo shoot.
Yeah. And I think people, like, especially in combat sports, you got to get dirty and rowdy. Everything shouldn't be so particular and neat.
I agree. I like that. I can live with that.
That's how I like it.
Dirty and neat. Doesn't have to be dirty and neat. I like that.
Yeah.
I can live with that explanation. So, you know, it's a crazy time. COVID hit us all differently, and that probably affected the gym. It's interesting to navigate. I've seen gyms putting like fucking paper on the walls, hiding the windows, locking the door. Like you have to knock 3 times in a secret weird place. It's so weird to me how that's been. How has it been for you guys through COVID? Have you had to like do garage sessions? How's it been?
You know, when they first shut us down, which we were shut down for a little bit, I took the first couple weeks to just kick back and enjoy myself.
We all did.
Well, because we all thought it'd be over in a month. So I'm like, take a month off, kick back. But then when we saw it was going to be a long-term thing, I started training out of my garage. I would meet my clients at the park, you know, like we'd still get the work in. I do think me personally, is ridiculous to shut down fitness and health centers in a time like that. But, you know, Walgreens down the street is important. You know, people still got to buy their bullshit, I guess. But gyms and all that space, I think if you are choosing to go there during that time, it's your choice. It should be open. You should have an outlet to train and keep yourself healthy and not sit on the couch and become more healthy and become more susceptible to this bullshit. But I mean, it was a struggle for a while. I had, you know, park sessions, garage sessions. It's hot, it's cold. And most of my people are pretty ride or die. Like, we got the training in no matter what.
Yeah, most people in the fight game are like, let me die how I want to.
Yeah. They're like, all right, it's 1:15 out. Let's go hit bleachers. I'm like, all right, let's go.
It's crazy.
So I think like if you're serious about your training, shutdowns and all this shit, it's not going to affect you.
What's the goal this year and next year? Where does it go from here?
Honestly, growing my personal business as a coach, reaching as many people as I can. I'm pretty booked out for my in-person training, so I'm starting to open up online training avenue.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so just like being able to reach to people and get to people who really want and deserve quality training. I work at a lot of different gyms here in Vegas, and it's hard to find someone who's legit.
Don't you kind of have to have the online component now, though, Heather? Like, I think so.
Now you do.
I think whether you like it or not, you have to have something online that's like $9.99, and this is my home, you know, 30-day, you know, whatever you want to call it.
You have to. And that's honestly like what I've been trying to step more into, because I am very much an in-person person. Like, I want to yell at you to your face. I want to see the way you're turning your foot when you throw hooks, you know. But eventually, there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many people I can see in one day. And, you know, maybe Gilda from Georgia just wants to see, like, what does a heavy bag workout look like? Okay, let me put it online. Like you said, $9.99 a month, you can access this.
I think Mike Zanga from BJJ Fanatics has, like, boxing fanatics, too. But I like what Mike's been on the show. He's actually from where I'm from. And he developed a really interesting thing with BJJ Fanatics. And he says, I don't do these videos to replace going to train with someone. I do them because people want to specialize in one particular thing, and I want to give them the most data that they can from the best in the business.
Yeah.
Now, you can go out and you can get all kinds of videos. You can get a Tom DeBlass leg lock video. You can get a guard video. You can get a Gordon Ryan, whatever tutorial. But like, you have to know when you're going through those where you fit, right?
Yeah.
What works for you. Like you said, you like to teach everybody. You rent a Gordon, video package or whatever you call it, DVD, streaming, whatever it is, his educational, it's a high level thing. When you go out and you design something that's going to be for online, do you design it for the masses, or are you going to put in like specialized stuff for somebody that's maybe a little further along?
I'd like to have both. I feel like, I appeal to both. I serve both. I think the majority of it is going to be, these for the masses, I would say, regular people who just want to get a little bit healthier, who want to drop some weight, who want to get stronger, who want to feel like a more confident human. That's like, honestly, something, it's the worst thing to see is someone who's just not confident and walks with their head down and doesn't really speak much.
That's what they want us to be today.
That's what they want us to be. And that's why I'm so like, no, like, I don't care if you're a guy, girl, old, young, fat, skinny, like you deserve to be healthy, confident, and like walking with your chest up and being like, yeah, I'm a fucking badass. Let's go. Yeah. Everybody should feel like that. And that's another reason that I'm going to open up the online is, if you don't live in Vegas, if you can't get to me in person, let's start an online channel. I will be doing specialization for further along athletes where it comes down to like, this program's not about losing weight. This program is how can we get more power in your hook and why are you throwing it the way you're throwing it? So I do think there does need to be both channels. There's
something for both. Like when you get a Gordon one, what I try to explain to people, to everybody listening, if you go and you get a John Danaher or a Gordon Ryan video series, these guys are high level specialists. Like if you're not coming into it with 2 or 3 or 4 years experience or even more, you're not going to really understand a lot of the concepts he's talking about and the structure. And I think it's important for people to understand that you can go out and you can buy a Peloton and that's great. But is that going to replace going and riding a bike in Alaska? Not necessarily, because you're watching it in your house.
Exactly. It's not the same. Animals. Totally different. Yeah, people don't necessarily understand that it's not the same thing, and there gets like this blurring in the conversation. Well, I got my blue belt on Gracie University. Well, that's great. Is it a blue belt or is it a real blue belt? Did you go and grapple everybody at Open Mat on Sunday? And I think that's the difference, like really being able to get in person and put your hands on something. Anybody can watch videos, and I would say online training is definitely a good supplement.
Absolutely.
But for me, in person is like the gold standard. Of
course. Like if you're a couple states away and let's say you can't get to Heather or you can't get to Gordon or you can't get to this person or that person, you might get this video series and say, hey, I'm going to come out for a private or something. And I want to put all these skills together. I've done that in the past. I've gone to GST. I've gone and had Henner, I've learned, his version of jiu-jitsu because you have to, right? Yeah. At some point you want to learn from the Mecca and then you want to kind of back in all your other stuff from there and kind of say, what did I learn from this? What did I not? But that's part of seasoning.
Yeah.
And I think everybody likes a good seasoned fighter and someone who's been in a few gyms.
Yeah.
And I encourage that. One of the things I push on the coaches here a lot, because I'm friends with a lot of them, is I say, tell your flock all the time to leave.
Yeah.
Tell them to go train somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because that's why they start getting entitled.
Yes.
My
gosh.
So you got to tell them like, hey, go train in Miami for a couple weeks. Go train in California for a couple weeks. Get that seasoning underneath you.
Yeah.
And then you won't be the whiny 22-year-old that won 2 amateur fights anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go get some seasoning.
That's honestly my favorite thing to do when I travel. Like whether it's Miami, Cali, Hawaii, wherever it is, I have to find a legit gym to train at. The grungier, the better.
I got some for you.
Yeah, you got to get me a little list.
Yeah.
Because it's humbling. You go around people that you're not used to. They don't know who you are.
Absolutely.
You're not like that badass girl. You're just some new girl who's coming into their house.
Right.
Guy or girl, whatever. But it's like, if I could put together, like, this is the grungy places you need to train in Miami, New York, LA, Hawaii, that'd be ideal.
Yeah, there's some good spots I have. If you have any, I'm always all ears too. But I think that's part of the beauty of the fight community is you can go around and kind of try these different places. And that's what I mean by seasoning is don't leave your gym and like abandon your coaches, but go for a week and train somewhere.
Yeah, change it up. Get a new perspective. Every coach has different things that they focus on.
Yeah, it's crazy. Vegas is a crazy fight scene though.
It is. It can be overwhelming, I think, for people trying to step into it because it is
we see it all the time. We see it eat people up all the time.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you're from here and I've been here 3 years. You see it all the time.
All the time.
Especially in our circle of friends. It's a little wild, but it eats people up all the time. People come and go and they don't understand really what what they need to be doing while they have the advantages they have, whether it's fighting amateur, whether it's getting the opportunity at the UFC, whether it's getting an opportunity at PFL. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. And I always try to help the fighters understand that there's life too, that you have to prepare for. And as a coach, you probably find yourself doing that all the time.
All the time.
What's it like?
Honestly, it's
hard.
It's really difficult to really like get people to, you know, train, dedicate everything to training, but you still need to have a life. You need to live your life. You need to take care of yourself outside of these walls. Otherwise, when I have you, you're not going to be totally in it. And I will try to tell them, you know, when we're training, all the outside shit, leave it out there. Let's train. But take a fucking walk on the weekends to the park or go hang out with your family. Don't be so obsessed with 24/7 training, because balance is everything. And I don't always do it myself, which is why I'm like, oh, you know, I'm coaching them to do it. But even I get wrapped up in that, like, work, train, work, train, work, train.
It's got to find the balance in walking away from it.
Yes. And knowing when to.
And have good businesses outside of your business.
Yes.
I always tell everybody, if you really, really love what you do and you think it's 100% what you're going to do forever, don't be afraid to like flip a house on the side or do something else. And all the successful ones are always usually doing stuff like that.
That's my biggest thing. Like, I love training. I love being in the gym. Like, this is my main thing. I'll be opening up my online, but you know, I am also really passionate about like real estate and rentals, and that's like another avenue that I'm in as well. But I don't want to be that girl with all her eggs in one basket.
It's hot in Vegas right now.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it's like the whole rental thing and flipping. I don't want to say, but a couple of fighters I know, they've been flipping houses like crazy.
It's honestly a great market to do it. I just bought my second house a couple months ago.
Woo!
Thank you. So yeah, I'm renting out my first house. I just bought my second house. I'm looking at getting a condo rental next year. But I do think, you know, everyone from Cali's coming over. The market's rising. This is the time to do it, because I do think in a couple years, it's going to be so hard to really make moves.
Well, there's a professional sports team coming here for Vegas specifically. There's another professional sports team coming here. They just hired Josh McDaniels with the Raiders, which is interesting, coming over from the Patriots. I'm a New Englander, and I'm happy to hear that. So,
New England.
So yeah, we just win. Everything else just gets in the way. Yeah. I mean, if you just win, it's easy to talk about.
True. Very true.
But you know, I think Vegas is a great spot to be engaged in a lot of those activities and doing that stuff, because it's burgeoning, and it's one of those areas that I know I'll tell you off air, I know a very large manufacturer that's coming here that's going to be really good for the fight game and a few other things. But I think Vegas is an exciting area for that.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not really a city.
It's not.
So it still has a lot of really rural areas that you could do a lot of really cool shit.
Honestly, I think Vegas is going to be the city to be in over the next couple years. You know, we're starting to get in sports. We've got the Raiders out here, basketball, baseball maybe's coming. I think the city's going to continue to grow. I don't think it's going to be, you know, people always ask me like, oh, you sure you want to buy a house right now? What if the market crashes? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, there's always that.
There's always those fucking people who just, they can't do it. So they want to like talk you out of it. But Vegas is growing. The more sports teams, like the rural areas, housing developments are going up. Vegas is the place to be. But we also have nature right on the outskirts. You can go to Lake Mead. You can go to Red Rock, Mount Charleston. You know, you can live out in Blue Diamond, but still come to the Strip in a 15, 20-minute drive. So I do think it's going to be the city that has everything. Yeah,
and bodybuilding-wise, even in the fitness community, some great people have moved here. I mean, obviously you have Jay here, who's been, you know, a mainstay in the Olympia scene, but you have Flex Lewis that just moved here. So Flex just opened, like, what is it called? Like the kitty cat lair or whatever he calls it. The dragon claw, whatever he called it, the lion's den.
Something like that.
Hi, Flex. How are you?
Something cool.
Call me back. Right. But he's, you know, I like seeing that stuff. And I think that stuff's good stuff. And I think we need more of it. I love having you.
Thank you.
Listen,
I like being here.
Listen, you like it in here?
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
It's not bad. We're doing it right.
It seems like it.
We're one step away from success. We just need a jumpy house.
Oh my gosh.
That'll change. A trampoline. That'll change
That's
everything.
all you need in here.
That's all we need. That's all we need. It's so easy. Why are we making it so hard? Let everybody know where they could find you, how they could reach you in the gym you're at.
Yes, I'm over at Self-Made Training Facility here in Las Vegas. We are off of Russell and Valley View, 24/7 facility. A little bit of everything there. You can check out the facility and my training on my Instagram. That's going to be at heatherhernandez.lv. That's usually my main point of contact. I'll respond to DMs then there I can. A lot of my boxing training videos are on there. I would say that would be my main point of contact. You can check out Self-Made Training Facility website. You can look at the facility. And I mean, I do tours there all the time. So sometimes people will be like, hey, I just want to tour the facility. Come check it out, work out for the day.
Yeah.
So if you want to come, we have everything there.
What's a private or what's an online going to look like price wise? Let everybody know.
So the online programs are going to range anywhere from $10 a month to $100, depending on the program you choose. Yeah. It is like, once I actually talk to you, we kind of individualize a little bit. Do you want, like everyday check-ins, once a week check-ins? Do you need nutrition too? Do you just need a program to do at your gym? So that will vary. In-person private training is going to be anywhere to 50 to 80 per session, depending on what we're doing, what we're specializing in. If you're training more than a couple times a week, obviously you're going to get a deal versus someone who just comes and sees me once a week. So best thing for getting like an individual program, shoot me a message, tell me exactly what you need, and then I will tell you the programs I have. I usually have 2 to 3 programs I offer someone. Low-end pricing, mid-end, high-end, depending how private you want it and how much time you want me to spend with you.
Now, I'm a regular guy and I'm disgusting. What would you recommend for a guy like me? Just curious. What you would throw out there to someone? 2 days a week, 3? Where should they start?
I think everybody should start with a minimum of 3 days a week because you need that consistency. You don't want to have too many off days in between your training days. I think 3 to 5 days is ideal. 3 days a week minimum. But if you're like really serious about making changes, you need to get your ass into the gym 5 days a week.
It's hard.
Think about it. And yeah, it's hard. Like we're all busy, but
absolutely,
it doesn't have to be this big crazy workout too. I think there's a misconception that you need to be at the gym for 2 hours like dying.
I liked Gordon's explanation on it when he was on Joe's show. He said, I train every day, but I train to the level that I can each day.
I love that.
I like that. I'm okay with that. I think when you're starting out, if all you could do is 1 day a week, then start there. Let your coach take you to the 3. But you're right. To develop a skill set, you better be putting in 3 days a week. And to develop a change in your life, you're not going to lose 100 pounds 1 day a week.
Yeah, not at all.
That's just reality. But I try to tell people, like, if that's all you can start with is 1 day a week, then get an online package and do 1 day a week and start there. Maybe in your garage you can get an hour in another time and do it like that. The thing I always debate with my jiu-jitsu coaches is I always say, what's a private worth?
Yeah. And honestly,
like, is it worth 1 session or 2? So like, I'm a guy who likes to go maybe 2 days a week and do a private.
Okay.
And then open mat.
Yeah.
So like, what does that translate out to? You know what I mean? So I always try to say like a private's like 1.5.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think.
I have, like I said, I have a variety of like average population clients on to athletes, and some of them will see me once a week for striking, but then they might just go do their own lifting all the other days of the week, and they're keeping it up, so it's good. But I do agree with that too. If you're not doing anything right now, yes, 1 day a week is perfect. Just get up, get out of the house, make a routine out of it, and like you can work out for 45 minutes or an hour. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn-out training camp every day. And
I can lean on a coach like you, like any student could, and say, hey, Heather, I'm doing 1 day a week right now. What else can I do to get better? But that's all I can give. And there's ways.
Yeah, I get a lot of people in like that. Maybe I have someone who trains with me in person twice a week, and they're like, well, what can I do outside of this? And I'll make them a very baseline routine that they can do at the park. Or, hey, get your yoga mat out and do this at home once a week, just so that they are always moving. But they don't necessarily, that's why I tell people, you don't have to see me every day to work out. You can do all your own workouts and just see me when you need to specialize or you need that extra push.
Amen.
Yeah.
Listen, she likes to shoot guns too, guys.
Yes, I do. We're going to have to plan that day.
What a gal.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll send you over to 702. We can shoot all you want.
They're
full
right
autos,
here.
everything. Yeah, Chris is a good, we take everybody there.
Let's do it.
Shout out to 702, by the way. Hi, Chris.
Such a good spot. Such a good spot.
Yeah, she does a great job down there. But anytime you want to go throw something downrange, we can do that. I'm better off throwing the gun downrange than throwing the ammo. Yeah, wow. I'm awful. I have no business being in there. But
at least you know it.
At least I know it. I know it. I'm bad at everything. I try to set the bar really low so I surprise everybody.
Yeah, I like it.
Like just walking and breathing is enough.
They're like, look at him. He's really pushing it today.
He's really doing it today. He's breathing.
I like it.
Listen, I appreciate having you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate being on the show. You got a fucking badass spot here.
You like it?
Good conversation. You're not as much of a dick as I thought you were going to be.
I know.
So
I let you down there already.
No, it's a good letdown.
I think everybody... I think I start out with everybody as a dick. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think that's what is easy to perceive.
I'm just not a douche.
Yeah,
that's the way I
be a dick. Don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche. Yeah. All right, listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're out of here. I want to thank all the sponsors. Go buy a Sig. Shout out to Sig Sauer. Shout out to everybody. There's a complete list of sponsors down below, guys. I want to give a special thanks to Pulsar, Volquartsen, Right On Optics, Enforce Weapon Lights, and of course, Rhino Metals for all the tables in here. And thank you to Secure It for all the walls behind us. Thank you, guys. We're out.